Welcome to eVision number 2 with Dr. Alexandra Kleeberg and Dietrich Busacker.
Welcome to your happy, healthy, fulfilled life.
My name is Dietrich Busacker and I have been working for many years in advising and accompanying projects on education, sustainable development and good governance all over the world. And 2 years ago, I really got excited about the teachings of this wonderful lady next to me. And we developed a vision and to bring out these ideas into the world. And that's why I'm here now. And
I'm Alexandra. I'm a clinical psychologist, a psychodrama, behavior, a Jungian psychoanalyst. And I've collected self-healing stories, images, and exercises from all over the world and throughout time. And I've translated them into a modern language. I teach that to group almost every day. And from these groups, there have been developed a lot of exercises, images to heal modern sicknesses, to heal depression, to heal anxiety. And those inspired me to write, now it's 7 books, to bring this wisdom of self-healing and the creativity of potential development into this world.
We are very happy that you join us again for our second broadcast of eVision Live. The last time we had the topic of the power of vision, which is very well aligned with our name, and I think we will continue talking about the power of vision, so the power of vision number 2 today. And what can we expect, Alexandra? What we're going to talk about?
We will talk about visions in more detail. Last time we've come from wishes, the importance of wishes and imagination for building up visions. And today I would like to differentiate it even more. And we might discuss some of the obstacles that might get into the way, some of the blockades between you and your vision.
Yes, and how a vision can be a magnet for you and your life, and how to overcome these obstacles.
Yes, and we would really appreciate it. We are very new, and this is a very new medium for us. If you give us feedback, if you give us comments, if you ask questions or have suggestions for improvement and so forth. So we really love that.
So we are happy if you give us likes and hearts, and also, but please don't hesitate. Anything that comes to your mind, leave your comment below. We really appreciate that. Thank you, because this is also very important for Facebook. We are using this medium, Facebook Live, to interact with you, and comments are very appreciated by Facebook in order to promote this broadcast.
Exactly, and this is our way to bring this vision on self-healing potential development and transformation into this world. So what I thought about after our last broadcast was that it is very important to describe a vision or even a wish in a positive way. Some participants of my group say their deepest wish is not to be afraid anymore. And you should not, there's a not, use a not. You shouldn't use a not. You use positive sentences. And this is not a moral issue, and it's not a spiritual issue. It's an issue of how our brain works. And when I studied psychology in the last century, the professor said, "Oh, don't think of a gray elephant." So what happens when I tell you, don't think of a gray elephant.
I think immediately about have an image of a gray elephant in mind.
Exactly, that's how our subconscious works. The subconscious doesn't understand a not, a no. There is no no in nature. Either there is an elephant, or there is air, or grass, or trees. Either there is the sun, or there is the moon.
Yes.
Right?
Or
nature,
the clouds.
Or the clouds. But a cloud in front of the sun is something the mind makes. There is no sun, but that's an intellectual procedure. In nature there is no no, and in our subconscious there is no no. So please define the wishes and the visions in a positive way. Very important. Otherwise, if you say, I don't want to have fear anymore, the subconscious is what it hears is fear, 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 fear. And that's what you don't want. And then you complain after half a year, my fears are even bigger than before. Because you always say, I don't want to have fear, I don't want to have fear. So this is very important. First, put it in a positive way.
Yeah, there are other wishes or visions that maybe not so well.
Yes, what I think is very important, that the wish or the vision is first thing positive for us, for our heart, for our soul, for our body. Otherwise you don't get this enthusiasm in it. And it is important that it is good for the world. Good for all. Why? This might be a moral issue, but it also has to do with the way our brain functions, because we have these mirror neurons, and everything we put out into the world, which is negative or destructive or aggressive or whatever, it comes in one way or the other. So we live in a deeply, deeply, deeply connected world. And whatever happens to us happens to the other. And if we take care of this networking of the brain inside and the networking with the outside, it's very important to have wishes which are good for all, so the good comes back to us, right? For example, there was this one lady, and she said she has a wish, and
in your groups,
in my groups, a wish, and she made a vision out of it. She would like to have a partner which is the neighbor.
Okay, so sex with a neighbor in the neighborhood with all the scandal around it.
No, first it's okay to have a relationship with a neighbor, yes? And I said, okay, well, wonderful.
How does it feel?
And she said, great. And she said, so, okay, what is that all? Yes, she said, there is a problem. The neighbor is married.
Okay.
So if he's not married, it shouldn't be a scandal.
Yeah, sure.
They can share their neighborhood together. And I said, it didn't feel good in my body. When she said that, and I told her, this doesn't feel good. And the third thing is that you create a vision which you can fulfill yourself, so you don't have to manipulate any other persons, right? So that goes together with both. It should be good for the outside as well, and you shouldn't manipulate other people to do something they might not want to do. And I said, the vision with this neighbor, I don't know, I don't feel good about it, and the group didn't feel good about it. And she said, but it feels so good. My vision is I'm a woman again, I'm erotic, I feel inspired, I feel loved, I feel protected, and this feels so good. And I see him in this vision. And then we had the idea, it's not a matter of if it's this man or not. It's a matter if she can create these feelings of feeling loved, feeling a woman again, feeling erotic, feeling inspired. And so we gave her this as her vision, to have these feelings embodied over and over and over again, and then see whichever man might get attracted to a woman like that. So this is the third point. It's in your own power. You didn't need to manipulate any other people, right? You should not wish that maybe the weather. I have one lady in the group, and she says in November, oh, this next month will be depressive. The sun is so little sunshine, and I will get depressive. My wish would be that the sun would shine even in winter. So this is a wish which probably couldn't be fulfilled, right? We don't have the same sun in winter than in the summer, or the same sunlight. So the vision might be, I have a body and a spirit and a heart that rejuvenates in the winter and maybe imagines the sun or something like that. So that we can do out of our own power, but we
so
probably
the light of
can't,
the candles, you transform them into
for example. So it should be a wish that is within your power. Otherwise, you might get frustrated. And feelings, thinking, feeling erotic, feeling a woman, feeling inspired is what you can create. It's in your power to do so. So this is the third point. First point, no-nos. Second point, it's good for us and good for the world. And third point is within our reach. So,
but you can almost almost any crazy wish you could transform in something that could be within your reach, within this. Because I think I learned from you that really you can transform how you formulate, as you said, you can really transform this, and it's then it's also another point that then the vision becomes a magnet for you, right? Yes. So this lady, when she is, I suppose, when she is now has imagination how erotic she is and how loved she is, she will be more attractive. So there will be more men be attracted by her, instead of when she is depressed and so her body, her stature will change, her appearance will change, and any man will be more attractive.
Yes, her self-awareness and self-esteem will change when she visualizes that she is erotic, a woman, and inspired, and so forth, and she will attract other people, and so she will build up a charisma of a attractive woman, and open to whoever comes into this charisma or into this atmosphere. So it is very important to make this vision a magnet, that it fulfills your deepest longings. You have one magnet, which is the vision, and the other magnet are your deep longings for happiness, for fulfillment, for potential development. And you have these magnets that come together, and you're sort of like drawn to this vision. It's not work. I have this discussion in my group a few weeks ago, and I told about my vision, and then somebody said, oh, that's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
And it is a lot of work, but it doesn't feel like work. It feels different, because this magnet sort of pulls you, and your longing goes with that, and so it seems to be another power which does the work, or through which the work is done.
You mentioned, for example, we are both relatively introvert, I would say. And for me, it was really being now in front of a camera would have not been possible 2 years ago. I would have been too afraid of it. But let's see, this vision that we really want to bring over our message to the world somewhat draws me to it. It's possible for me now to speak here and discuss with you and go onto a stage And I can already imagine when we're having our Congress in 2 years from now, that, I will be on the stage and I see people will be applauding. And after we had presented all these wonderful speakers and had such a wonderful event, I can feel it, I can taste it, I can hear it. And this is what draws me, what pulls me, and I think helps me to realize this vision.
Yes, and in this magnetic field, other people might come as well. I remember we were in Hawaii 3-4 years ago, and we interviewed Sergi King, and Sergi King teaches a lot of self-healing combined with Hawaiian wisdom, and we interviewed him, and we had the idea, Serge, we would like to have a huge conference in Germany in 2020 on self-healing. Would you like to come? And we had no idea how this would happen. And we have a
non-profit organization called Heal Now, and we're about 20 people working there for the moment. And we brought just this idea up, and immediately there was a lady standing up and said, "Oh yes, this really is infusing me." And therefore she got into contact with there's a big new Congress hall where all the Nobel Prize winners meet every year, and to get this very special place and to book it for 2020. So it's booked now. We have no idea about how the Congress is going to be, but we have booked the place and we're going to set up this Congress, and this idea will be leading us towards it.
Yes, we live in Lindau, and nobody actually knows Lindau, but it's the Congress city where all the Nobel Prize winners come, and the psychotherapists and psychoanalysts, and they meet there. The Nobel Prize winners once a year, and the psychotherapists 2 times a year. So you're welcome to come. It's the 4th and 5th September in 2020. And this lady, she was very enthused, and she had very, very many ideas for the breaks between the great speakers on dancing, on singing, on humor. And we had the vision that maybe the breaks would be even better than the speakers and would get more applause. So we really have fun doing this. And one in the group who's creating the Congress looked in the newspaper a few weeks ago, and she saw they need people for the Nobel Prize Winners Congress. And she said, I will do that, and I will learn how to use the technique and to have the internet marketing and how to do that. So that just came suddenly in her life and in ours as well. So the vision should be a really, really strong magnet. Otherwise, it's work. Mm. And with the magnet of the vision and the magnet of your longing, it's creative, it's fun, it's adventure, it's great.
But if this sounds so easy, when it sounds so easy, but why are so little people using this technique of visualizing, of developing their vision? How are so many people without maybe any vision living in this world?
I think not visualizing and is a very, very long tradition. Like when we look back into history, politics didn't want people with visions. They didn't want individuals. They wanted people who fit in the system. Mm-hmm. And once you're in a cage, you don't see very much from the outside, or you can't really widen it. So we have in Europe a very, very long tradition of suppression, of just being nice or doing what the system wants. And visualizing, imagination is actually a radical grassroots movement. Mm-hmm. And even now in schools, little children learn how to rationalize and how to put their visions and dreams away. In Germany, we have a lot of proverbs. Don't dream, it wouldn't come true. Don't be silly, it doesn't work. Look where you come from, and don't.
All these collective beliefs in the
in
culture.
the collective unconscious. There are very many self-destructive beliefs and anti-fantasy beliefs. Yes,
Anti-fantasy beliefs.
Because fantasy, like John Moore said, the power of imagination makes us infinite. And governments didn't want infinite people. They wanted slaves. They wanted people who fit well into the system. And so you radically cut imagination and fantasy and visions. And visions were for the politics, for the
rulers, for
maybe
the
for the
emperors.
philosophers or whatever, but it wasn't for the normal people. And I think right now we live in a window of peace and possibilities, abundance and possibilities.
At least many people live in that.
Yes, in this area where we live, and maybe hopefully in the area where you live. And it's our chance to seed it in the hearts of the children, that they will know and they will remember whenever they grow up and in whatever system they will come to, that there is this fundamental rebellious power which opens the cage of routines and customs. And I think it's very, very important to play again, to imagine again, to fantasize, to visionalize. That's how I like to put it. That children later on know who they are, what their potential is, what their possibilities are, and what they want to do in their jobs, and how they choose a partner, for example, right? You need fantasy for that, and not just by chance. So I think it is deeply rooted in our collective subconscious not to do that. It won't work. You're not good enough. It's not for the normal people. And it's very important to break through that. And I myself had it on my path into this vision. I wrote a very thick book on self-healing. It's only in German. It's called the Book of Self-Healing, and it means the Book of Self-Healing, like a real book, but it also means the book inside, the Book of Wisdom and the DNA. It has different layers, this meaning, the Book of Self-Healing. And it was very thick, and I discussed quantum physics, I discussed psychotherapy, imagination, fantasy, and so forth, mental processes. And I gave it to my aunt to read it. And I must say, I have a Prussian brain. My family is from Prussia, and this aunt was very, very Prussian. And she read it, and the first thing she said to my cousin was, "Oh, now she's gone crazy." And I could live with that. That was okay. But the second thing was that, she writes so much about herself, and that you shouldn't do at all. As a Prussian, you withdraw, you keep back, you answer when you're asked, but you never tell anything from yourself, from your experience, from your soul, from your heart. You don't do that. And that reminded me how many difficulties I had and sometimes have on this way to the vision, not to speak in public. She has died now, but for my Prussian heritage, it would be shaming to see that I'm talking in public. Yes, you don't do that. Maybe if you're a scientist, if you really have to say something which is rational and solid, but not with this fantasy stuff or vision stuff. It's not Prussian. And
well,
so
this is also scientifically based.
I'm scientifically based, but I shouldn't talk about my feelings. I shouldn't talk about my heart, my longings, my whatever, my past. It should be very rational, very scientific, and that's it, and do it like A, B, C, D. but not like this. It wouldn't be accepted. So I really have to break through these old unconscious belief systems. They got conscious once the people in my group asked me, do a CD, speak MP3s. And they really pushed me, and I said, no, I can't do that. Now I feel ashamed, I'm not a good speaker, I haven't learned it. And they said, we really need MP3s so we are independent from you, so we can hear to your exercises, we can listen to your exercises when we're at home, and we can carry it around. And they sort of pushed me, and I said, well, which belief system is that holds me back? And this is this Prussian, don't show yourself.
Okay.
And vision means seeing and also showing. So it's also...
If you don't get your message across, and it even gets better across if you touch emotions with it, if you touch your personality with it. So that's... without your message would stay within you, and nobody would be reached. So I think to wrap up a little bit, do we have an exercise also for our audience today? What would you recommend? Last time we had the wish list. What do you recommend today?
Today I think check through your wishes and visions and watch if there is a no in them, and then just translate it into a yes. Second, check if it's good for your body. We had that last time. And if it's also good for the world. And third, if it's within your power. So just work with that. And the other thing is, if you create this magnet of your vision and get it together with the longing of your heart, what might get in the way? And with what might get in the way, I mean unconscious or conscious belief systems. That's not possible, that doesn't work, I'm not good enough, that's only for the rich or for the intellectual, or if you have studied or whatever. Just check what might get in the way. And the vision and the longing have to be so strong that they take the obstacles, they move away the blockades, they push you through. So that is what I would recommend, because that is a vision, is transforming for yourself and mankind as well. And if you decide to transform, you have to change. Otherwise, the vision would have been here already. If it would be easy, you would have done it already. So there are obstacles, there are blocks, and just write down what could there be and how could your vision pull you through it, or your longing go through it.
And these blocks will be part of our next broadcast. We will discuss a little bit more, I think, about that. So thank you very, very much for listening. Please leave your takeaways below. Leave your comments. We are really looking forward to receiving them. And yes, I think we are at the end of our second broadcast, the Power of Vision 2. And thank you so much for being with us. And I wish you a very good week.
Create your present, transform your future, and open your heart and start.
Thank you, and see you next week at the same time.